Hello, and welcome to What the Fun Facts with Lily. I'm your host, Lily, and I'm not an expert on anything. Get ready for some of that good info for you to impress that person you like. You know, that one. Anyway, let's get this show on the road. Musicals are great, but they confuse a lot of people, and that includes me. But boy do I love them. There are times when I hear about a musical and think, what a strange concept. So, let's take a deeper dive into some of these odd musicals. Beware of spoilers for the musicals I'll be talking about. Cats is an interesting musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber, and it appeared on Broadway in 1981. If you recognize the name Andrew Lloyd Webber, that's because he's quite famous in the musical scene. He composed for Jesus and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Evita, School of Rock, Phantom of the Opera, which is one of my favorite musicals, and the not-as-good sequel to Phantom, Love Never Dies. Cats was very successful and ran on Broadway for 18 years. On first impression, a musical with a bunch of cats singing and dancing, while a tad odd, doesn't sound like the weirdest thing a musical could be based around. Well, strap in, because it gets way weirder. To begin getting into the details of Cats the Musical, I'll tell you a little story. My friends and I saw the movie trailer for Cats and instantly knew we had to see it. And to be honest, I had a great time, but I never want to see it again. If you have seen the trailer, then you know how ugly it looks, and boy, it did not disappoint. I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen, and it wasn't in the good way. I was actually a tad nauseous because of the camera movements and the wild sense of scale. That scale being that you cannot tell how big the cat people are supposed to be. I left that theater a changed person, and also wondering what the heck happened. However confused I may be, there is in fact a plot. The Jellicle cats go to the Jellicle Ball, where the leader makes a Jellicle choice so that one cat may go to the Heaviside lair and have a new Jellicle life. Or to put it in more simple terms, the plot of Cats is that they're cats, and they introduce themselves until one of them gets permission to die. A truly beautiful quote from Louis Pietzman on Twitter. Cats is based on T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, which is just a collection of poems about some cats. Based on the limited knowledge I have gathered from some weird places on the internet, I can't really source. Webber didn't really have a plan for Cats. He had written songs about all these individual cats, but didn't have a plot to stitch them all together. But Webber did have a dream. So he gathered a bunch of his writer friends, and they came up with the plot together. I cannot confirm nor deny the possible presence of cocaine in this workshop. Despite the fact that the story is less than ideal, the songs are catchy. Oh my gosh, they are so catchy. My friends and I jammed to them for a while after seeing the movie. Webber actually did a great job on the score. While I've never seen the stage version, I have heard that the choreography and set are wondrous to look at. So at least there are some good reasons why it became so popular. So, we all know Hamilton is amazing. You don't need another 20-something-year-old theater nerd to tell you that for the 1,000th time. What I'm interested in is what a crazy yet brilliant idea it is. Who reads a giant book about a founding father and decides that he's going to write a musical about it? Which, okay, a musical about the founding of the United States has been done before. 1776 did that. Oh, you want to make it a hip-hop and rap musical? Oh, well, those have been done before, but I don't know if that goes with politics. Oh, the debates or rap battles. That's fun. And everyone will be in period clothing and dance around and jump on tables. Oh, and you're going to make some people mad because the founding fathers are played by people of color rather than crusty old white men. Wait, the whole thing slaps and it won like all the Tonys. Lin-Manuel Miranda, you are a mad genius. One of my favorite things about Hamilton and some soundtracks in general are all the leitmotifs. A leitmotif in music means a recurring theme that is associated with certain characters or even emotions. Almost all the main characters in Hamilton have a little ditty they sing that encapsulates the character and their feelings. Some examples, and please forgive my singing, are Eliza's "Helpless," Angelica's "You will never be satisfied," Burr's "Wait for it," and Hamilton's "I am not throwing away my shot." Separately, these are fun things to listen for when listening to the songs, but when you take into consideration the whole musical, you realize how insanely brilliant it is to have them in a musical like this. Most of the songs are fast-paced, which means that things are said very fast. It is rap after all, but it may be hard to understand what exactly is happening. But with the leitmotifs, you subconsciously can understand where the characters are and what they are feeling. A perfect example is in the finale of Act 1, the song Non-Stop. The end of the song is literally every character singing their leitmotif all together, and you understand what is happening because of it. If the motifs weren't there, Miranda wouldn't be able to say so much in such a short period of time. I probably did a really bad job of explaining it, but I hope you understand a part of what I'm trying to say. Hamilton has gotten some flack online for glorifying the Founding Fathers, but if you really pay attention to what each character does and have seen what the actors say behind the scenes, you realize that a lot more is going on here. Yes, Hamilton does show the Founding Fathers in a positive light, but this story is mainly about Hamilton, and it really shows how Alexander was a deeply flawed man. Hamilton cheated on his wife and then wrote a pamphlet about how he cheated on his wife. The Founding Fathers are not all good or all bad. They are shades of gray, and the actors know that. In the documentary Great Performances, Hamilton's America, Daveed Diggs, who played Thomas Jefferson, has this to say: "You don't have to separate these things with Jefferson. He could have written this incredible document and several incredible documents with things we all believe in. And he sucks. You know, I think those are both true, and that we really have to stop separating them because that's when you get into trouble. That's when you stop letting people be whole people." Christopher Jackson, the man who played George Washington, said something quite sad. "The moment I knew I was going to be playing Washington, that was the first thing that came into my mind. The slave question. The reality of the fact that he owned people. I'll never make peace with it." On a lighter note, Hadestown is an amazing musical, but it's also kind of hard to explain. It's basically the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice along with the myth of Hades and Persephone. The music is mostly jazz and folk with a little blues, which sounds boring, but it's great. It takes place during a depression where everyone alive is poor and starving. And you get to the underworld, which is called Hadestown, by train. And it's where people work themselves to death. Well, they are already dead, but you get the point. Orpheus is a sweet little cinnamon bun who believes the song he's writing will put the seasons back in order and save the world. He also calls the guitar he holds throughout the performance a lyre, which I think is pretty funny. Eurydice experienced the worst the world has to offer, but she falls in love with Orpheus because he gives her hope. Hades is basically a factory owner and oil baron who is super rich and mean. Persephone is a woman who wants to spend all her time on Earth because it's pretty and fun, but she's trapped in hell with Hades for half the year. These two relationships parallel each other, and it shows the very best and the very worst parts of love. One thing changed from the original myths that I really like is that the women are fully fleshed out characters who make choices and live with the consequences of the choices they made. In the original myth, Eurydice just dies from a snake bite. In Hadestown, Eurydice actually chooses to go with Hades because she's starving, and Hades says that In the original myth, Eurydice just dies from a snake bite. In Hadestown, Eurydice actually chooses to go with Hades because she's starving, and Hades says that if she comes with him, she won't feel hungry again. which is technically true because she won't feel anything when she's dead. In the original myth, Persephone gets kidnapped by Hades but is forced to stay in the underworld because she eats some pomegranates. In Hadestown, she actually falls in love with Hades and chooses to marry him. Not as many people know about this musical, but I promise it's worth the listen. If you haven't listened to it, at least watch the Tony Awards performance of Wait For Me. It's so good, and it's what got me interested in the show. I really want to see it live because the set and choreography from the snippets I've seen have looked really cool. The worst part about the musical is that you really hope it doesn't turn out like the myths. But it does. It's a sad song. It's a tragedy. But they sing it anyway. There are many more strange musicals like the ones I have mentioned. These were just the ones I could have and wanted to talk about in depth. None of this answers the question, why do they exist? Simple. The answer is, I don't really know, and I don't really care. It's probably just something to do with the fact that theater/musical people are weird to begin with. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow, rate, or whatever you do the podcast you like. Or not. I'm not your mommy. But it'd be really nice of you if you did. And you'll get a double thumbs up from me. As always, have a great day.